My name is Brian, and this is my workshop. I'm going to be making some keepsake boxes and thought you might want to join in for the ride. First thing you need to know is this is how I get most of my lumber, and I find that it produces way nicer lumber than you can buy anywhere. I have a lot of it stashed in this room and in this room. A lot like, will I ever even use it all? And so I'm going to use some of the best material that I have here, and this is just a highlight of some of that material. Here are my selections for pieces that I might use for this project. Also, a couple special pieces here that don't look that special yet, and this massive pine slab, which is going to make one tiny little box, but it's currently 9 feet tall. This is a good time to talk about what you do with big slabs. A lot of people think that a big slab has to make a big product, and I don't believe that. I think it's great to break them down rather than store them forever. As you can see, I have a lot of lumber, and it's nice to use some of that lumber. And with this, I just have a lot of choices as to which parts come out of which part of the board. I'm making some good progress on these boxes, and behind me here are all the box lids. So those are resawn to around a 1/2 inch thick, and they're oversized both in width and length. I'll mess with those again later, but those I'm setting aside just to acclimate to the room now that they've been cut down by, a 1/3 of their original thickness. But here I have a stack of material that's going to make up all the sides, fronts, and backs of the boxes. And you can see some maple, some walnut. This is some Bradford pear. I need to get this more standard sized. So that's my next task, and then I'll be right back here now. And there it is, like magic. They're about a 1/2 inch thick. They're gonna go down to 3/8 of an inch after I let these acclimate to the room. So we're ready to keep rolling. Here's a really good example of what can happen when you resaw material. So these you can see are pretty flat, but if you look at these, this one right here is kind of all over the place. You can just see that bowed, and obviously the reason why is it is a crotch piece and it has a bark inclusion, so this piece has a lot of wavy grain. What I'm gonna do here is run this in the joiner again, and that's why I left quite a bit of thickness. Well, now it's time for some joinery, because to make a box, we have to join all the pieces together. So we've gotten our pieces all from rough cut, we've squared them up, we've made them smaller, we've gotten them to their final size, and I'm choosing to do some box joints to finally bring these things together into a box. I joke that box joints are a step above almost everything besides dovetails. And it's kind of perceived quality. Some people just think dovetails are the gold standard, but I love box joints. They're super strong, they look beautiful, and they're easy to cut on this rockler jig. Even though it is looking like a box now, I have a lot of work left to do. I had 3 problems that came up in this phase of the project. One, I already knew about. I had some fills to do. I'm doing some fills here with Starbond CA glue. It has an accelerator which lets it dry within seconds, and so I love this one for small voids. I also had some large voids, and for this, I'm dipping back into the epoxy world. A world that I can't say I love, but at times it's necessary. And for this one, I really wanted to use some of these pieces with big voids in them, and Starbond just wasn't going to cut it, so here I am using epoxy. And the unfortunate thing about this is that sometimes I can be a little absent-minded. What happened here is I mixed the epoxy wrong, and that burned through like 48 hours. I ended up with still liquid epoxy. Those pieces are ruined, so I couldn't use them. But luckily, I used some really thick pieces to start, so I had some extras. And I replaced those, poured some proper epoxy, and I ended up with some really cool lids. But that's not to say that I wasn't very frustrated with myself and with liquid plastic, aka epoxy. Here we are, mistake number 3. And I don't want to call this really a mistake. This is more of a design flaw that I noticed in the physical model. I wanted to use magnets to hold the lid on. And you can see it's pretty satisfying. Clicks in place, holds the lid nice and tight, but then as I slide it around, it can fall in to open, and I don't like that. You can see here also that the reveal of the lid can change with the magnets. I can slide that around, and then as I slide it, oops, it falls in again. And so here's the solution. Hinges. I really like that this fixes the lid exactly where you need it. I like that it's a type of box that people recognize, and it really is an easy transition for the most part. I have to use these tiny little hinges for this 3/8 inch material, which is going to make a little bit more work for me. Sometimes a little bit of work becomes a lot of work when your screws are too long. Phew, that got intense. Well, we only have a few things left to do before these boxes are all finished up, and I'm ready. These boxes are a manifestation of a vision I had for this business a few years ago. I envisioned creating my own lumber using already downed, unused, unwanted trees, yielding the most unique wood out there. Cone Furnishings products would stand apart by using materials that others cast aside. There have definitely been bumps in the road, but I'm happy to be in the wood shop working with this incredible lumber. These boxes are listed for sale on our website right now, so check them out, drop a comment about this project below, and thank you for being here.